Welcome to the Live Wildly podcast, a space where we explore how to live our wildest expressions while nourishing our hearts. Here, we cover all things motherhood, spirituality, health, wellness, and more. I'm your host, Olivia Ashley, a mama, intuitive, and seeker of a joyful, inspired life. Let's dare to live wildly. Welcome back, listeners, to the Live Wildly podcast. You're in for another treat, as always, because we have on with us the lovely Angela Husney again for our second part of the energy exploration. So if you haven't listened before, welcome. And if you have, I hope you've listened to episode 20, the first part of this energy exploration series. But if you're jumping in now and you just want to go deep and this is what's calling, you are great, and you can always go back and listen. So I have Angela here with me today, who is an incredible intuitive, medium, psychic, or Reiki master, all things. And we are just going deep into our energy body exploration. And we are doing this from a felt, experiential, spiritual sense. And I want to state that because there's so much with energy. When I was starting to research more into our crystalline structure and our frequency and how this affects us, there is a lot more. But I want to say that this container that Angela and I are creating and going to share on today is from our backgrounds as intuitives, energy workers, again, experiential learnings that we've had to hopefully help you learn and ground and clear and get into your own energy body and start to work with it a little bit more. So far we have explored the basics of our energy body, what it is, how to feel into it, the importance of it, even how to ground. If you listen back to that episode 20 with Angela on this part 1, and today we are going to go even deeper and to begin to explore more around energy clearing, cleansing, how we can interact with things around us, and the myriad of ways to do so. So no further ado, welcome, Angela. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. I'm very excited to be here once again and talk about amazing energy that we have all around us.
Yay. So let's start by speaking about how we can interact with the world and our surroundings energetically. And more specifically, how are we energetically engaging with the world and things around us in each moment? If you could help us remind ourselves of this interconnectedness of it all and how energy is at the core of us, I think this will start us off.
Right, so where I'd like to begin is just energy is everywhere, right? Our bodies are energy, our animals are energy, our glasses of water is energy. And so as we wake up every morning, we start, our day, we are bombarded with energy from everywhere. Our spouses, our kids, our friends. And so how does that play within our own bodies, right? As we know, like some days we wake up crabby, some days we're like very joyful. And where does that come from? How does that, resonate and start? So that's kind of where I began. And that's where I started, really wanting to know more about energy and how I could impact that. How can I actually start my day and be energetic and joyful? I think also something that's really coming through that I need to share is once winter is here and in Colorado, we're inside a lot, right? So all that energy is really contained within our homes or within our cars. And it's hard to clear that and get rid of that energy that may not be here for the best, right? It might be impacting how we feel in our minds and our bodies. So, with that, I think one thing that energy really we need to pay attention to is how we feel within our own bodies and how that energy is impacting, our ailments, our not feeling right, our we're not in balance. I think that all plays into the energy and the energy around us.
You hit on so many good points. And I think also, I'm like, where do I want to start this? One, remembering that, yes, we can feel good and find those joyful moments and start our day. That takes time, that takes practice and habits, but also knowing, like you said, like we are so impacted by a lot of things and it's okay to not feel okay. But usually that's a sign that something's not right. Or you walk into your house and it's very stuffy. Yes, especially with winter. So my go-to is just open a window and shift it, shift the energy. And I think you kind of hit the point of, yeah, energy is that first initial sign of your body telling you something. Sometimes you can feel it before you even have a physical ailment. Something feels off emotionally, and I think there's a lot of that connection of emotions and into energy. And yeah, we are connected to us all. So this was something, while I said we were going to really stick to this experiential sense, I do want to share that we are all energetic beings, are the human structure, but also everything else, like rocks and lakes, like water, all the elements have an energetic imprint and an energetic frequency that we emanate. And so we get affected, and I'm affected by different things, and our energy shifts because of that. So I would say, as we keep looking at this, we covered this on the first part, probably some, but let's remind our listeners too of how we can sense and feel with our energy body, because I think that's really what we just brought up a lot, that, you can feel your emotions or things shift, or, the stagnancy we're often used to, and then you move your body and you shift it out, and that changes your physical frequency and where you're sitting. So how do we really get that sense and our feeling with our energy bodies, and what are the different ways to do so?
So, as you mentioned, there's so many practices. That is one place to start, with the meditation, being able to go within and really ask yourself and feel what is around you, what is within you. Sometimes what I've done, or what I do, is I sit quietly and I just picture my body, and I picture like what area is lighting up. And so that energy, what does that mean? And, following into that to find out. And then, of course, during a yoga practices or Reiki, that is the same type of concept of really feeling within your body, using that third eye, the spiritual lens of what is feeling good now and what may not be feeling right. When I scan my body and I can see, like right now, like I have a darker spot kind of on my left ankle. So that energy is telling me, like, okay, is there something there? Just be aware of. Maybe I need to be stretching more. That seems like it's something that I come to find out is a lot of just moving my body more will help my body and my energy, if that makes sense.
Oh, it definitely makes sense. And it's such a big question because everyone feels it differently and everyone is going to sense it differently. And unless you've really had the mental connection of, oh, this is my energy, and like I am sensing that something's happening. And maybe I'm almost like, is energy the right word? I think it's just this like intuiting too. We are energetic beings, and it is giving off its own frequency that we can feel into and tap into. And it's all so connected to our physical body, all the bodies, as we talked about in that first episode too. And it made me think about, if you're really struggling with, I can't tell my body, I think you can sometimes also look external. What came through when you were talking was Marie Kondo and her practice of, does this spark joy? So hold something, take something tangible. What do you feel with that? And her whole thing is clearing out and decluttering. However, I think that's a very pointed thing of even just being able to do that simple thing of, does this spark joy? Does this bring me happiness? How does this feel? Like, we know if you can turn your mind off a little and just sense, what that feels like. And so, yeah, your body is constantly telling you things. Your mind is constantly telling you things, and it's starting to distinguish that feeling in that sense, and also trusting, not letting your mind just go, oh, well, I just like tweaked to my ankle and that's it. I'm not going to pay any more attention. But your body's asking you for something or telling you something's off. And so taking a couple breaths to just tune inward and come within, and however that works for each of us, I think could be really helpful.
I agree. And I like that tune in. We all have tuned into a radio or tuned into something. And I think that that is a really good, powerful word to be tuning into ourselves.
Yes, if you can imagine, we're all on this radio station, but we're all different channels, and we all have a different frequency and vibration to that channel. And what we're emanating is a little bit different. So what works for one person might not work for the next person, just simply because we are all so unique and different. So noting that how you want to tune in your practice to tune in, or what you need in the morning or at night, might differentiate because you are just uniquely you. But no matter what, you are a human being and have this electromagnetic frequency and energetic sense about you. So this is a very important topic and a very important thing to be aware of as well.
Yes.
Yes. And so could we go a little deeper into deeper breakdown or explanation of the energy body beyond the lens of the five bodies, if that makes sense?
When saying that, I'm thinking spiritually, because as we dig deeper, I'm channeling now. So like I'm seeing the auras and the energy that comes around and circles me, right? And it's more than just internal, my body. To me, it's the energy around me that's really coming through. And I can see my energy right now, I can see it being in a pink color and happy and a vibration. And we have the ability to keep that energy around us at a higher vibration as well, by cleansing it, by bringing in color to help us foster a better energy body around us.
Ooh, that's really helpful. Yes, yes. I think it's helpful to know we have all these different bodies, and you can connect with each of the emotional and the spiritual and the quantum and physical and all the things. And yet really it's just this one system, if we can think of it. It's helpful to pick it apart in parts. And yet we need to understand that there is a wholeness about it too. And there is a wholeness of its interactions with the things around us. And so that is the goal of today, is really diving deep into why you should be aware, but two, and why you should be clearing, connecting, accessing, supporting your energetic system, because it fluctuates constantly. We are constantly around other things, whether we're in a different room, a car, like you said, going somewhere. That is really the core of why we're even talking about this, because you and I have both gone through so much struggle and strife and disconnection and reconnecting. And I think for both of us, when we understood energy and found a system, so you and I really use Reiki, and I know you have a few more things that you've learned too, but that changed my life. And I don't say that as like, oh, this changed my life, man. Like, no, like this really rooted me, changed me, allowed me to feel balanced and settled within my body, to then go out into the world and feel confident, capable. I mean, even into my home with my 3 kids, and feel confident and capable and not melt down. So that's really, I think, the core of what we're wanting to explore. And like you said, when you start to work with this, you can begin to see colors or get more feeling sense or have little visions of sorts that help you understand where you are currently and what might need to shift. So that was, I think, a great segue. Do you have any more you want to share on that came up or anything?
No, that all felt good. I think once again, you tuned on in another word, but it'll come up again. I can't quite recall what it is, but
Okay, that sounds good. So let's go even deeper again to our chakras. And I like the chakra system. Chakras come from, they're Sanskrit. So they're from India, I think, is the lineage of where chakras come from. But I think most systems, Chinese medicine, other Western medicine systems, do understand your prana or your energy or your chi. And that's what we're really wanting to start to talk about. So how do our chakras, so our in Sanskrit, our root, our sacral, our solar, our heart, our throat, our third eye, our crown. And I know we have more chakras than that, but that is what mostly mainstream we understand. How do these centers play a part of energy, and what do we need to know about those?
Mm-hmm. And so with the chakras, I think, like you said, it's more mainstream. We can get a handle on it because they needed to put something in writing visually so that we can understand like what's going on, right? So we have these different centers of our body. They connect to our physical system, and it really helps keep the flow of energy going. So what I like to, I picture, and I'm picturing like now, is like a water faucet above my head. And this water is just flowing right through the center of me, through my first chakra, all the way to Mother Earth. And so that is the flow, because just like anything in life, as we know, like it's a river or it's flowing, an ocean, it's flowing. And that's what our bodies also need, is that flow of energy through ourselves, connecting us to the universe and to Earth. And so that gives us a physical understanding of what that energy looks like and how it's supposed to move. And then also knowing that they connect to each other, like they're flowing. As that water flows through each one, it's connecting and turning it on. So there's energy within each of those chakras also that can be turned on or turned off. When I'm doing readings, I'm turning on that chakra so that I can connect to the universe even closer. So when you're grounding, if you're going through something emotional like grief, it could be your heart chakra can be turned on. And, sometimes you feel like your heart is breaking with grief or something so intense. And those are the energies of your heart chakra. And you're activating it. And that's why you're feeling it so intensely. Say, there's something going on, like you have a gut feeling. If you've heard of a gut feeling, that chakra is turning on, elevating itself so that you can feel that and really tap into that emotion once again. So that's how I feel like those chakras are very important, and they connect us to internal and, once again, external. I think it's so important knowing that, once again, everything works together. Nothing is separate.
Yes, that it's helpful to understand each of these layers. It feels like we're peeling back the layers of an onion because there's so much depth when you say energy exploration. There's so much to this. But I think chakras are really, like you said, a great visual, a great place where you can sense in. And I love that it's becoming more mainstream, that we are understanding that these, true like energy portals are happening for us to exist and help our organ systems and help our body and help us have the energy for everything that we do. I think there's a lot more tied into what these true energy centers are doing. And so much research is out there that shows like these exist. This is real. All of these little places in our body, like acupuncture, pressure points, these things have a very big effect on other systems at play. And so knowing that there's a lot you can do to connect and work with them. And kind of that's my next piece of how do we embolden, strengthen, and activate our chakras specifically. You said you gave the example of turning the water on. And I love that in the sense of like, it makes me think like I'm clearing them out. But if we want to activate them, what's just like a simple thing we could do to feel like, one, we're not over activating them, and maybe one needs to be a little bit quieter, but how can we start to maybe work with one or two of our chakras, or just do like a quick clearing of them of sorts?
Yeah, so as I was saying, with the cleansing of the energy, I like the water analogy of just cleaning them, right? And it just the water, it's bright and energetic and cleaning, and as it flows through, you can visualize it going through each chakra and just cleaning them out. So with activating, as I was going through, learning and practicing, you can activate each different chakra. And depending on the amount of energy within it, like you can feel it, you can actually look in to the chakra. If you visualize it, there's messages there. It really can tell you what is going on. So, like, I'm visualizing my heart chakra, and it definitely needs some more love. It needs some more attention. I'm feeling that I'm needing to feel some more value, feeling valued. So, with that, as you look at it and visualize your chakra, you visualizing it turning on and circling and moving. And as this happens, you can get different feelings, different pictures. Like, I get pictures of words or color, and then you can activate each one throughout your body. And like when I activate mine, I definitely feel within my body some energy. Like, it's not like goosebumps, but more just tingling. Keeping your chakras at open all the time, I would not personally recommend that, because then other people's energy can become involved and within those chakras. So opening them up during a practice, like through meditation or Reiki or yoga, opening them up and clearing them and then activating them and letting them really circle and be activated within that practice is really good. But I would personally recommend closing them down when that practice is over, because they're very susceptible to getting other energy, other people's energy, other, like we've talked about, energy from our animals, from the environment. So personally, I like to close them down at the end of my practice. But it is very, you can get some really deep messages from those chakras once you activate them and start really just listening.
Mm, that makes a lot of sense. And you brought up some really good points, because I want to state, right, like you said, well, there's one thing to cleanse and to activate, but closing down is so important, because you'll start to get energy leaks, and that can happen even if you're doing nothing. Especially if you're doing nothing, probably some are open, some are closed, and as you're getting flooded with energy, and you're also giving energy, things can start to get out of balance. Just imagine like a car. Like, we need to tune up as much as we need to tune in. And when you start coming into this sphere, it feels really good, I want to say. And so I made the mistake. And so I'm really glad you gave us that message, because I made the mistake of wanting to be open all the time. I want to connect. I want to have my energy is open and big and powerful and all the time and get these messages, but trusting that there is a time and a space. So I love that you gave that container of, do this within a practice. When you're done, whether it's meditation, a yoga class, just even speaking. And that was the other piece, but but close it at the end and note that you'll still get energy. It's still balanced. But I always like to use my words to do it. So maybe you're not as visual. Maybe you don't really know this felt sense, or you're not receiving messages the way Angela and I are, again, in like your mind, or you don't even know where to start. You can just use your words. Your words are so powerful, what you speak, because you are igniting that emotion within your body. You're igniting that frequency. And so even just saying, my root chakra is clear, or all of my chakras are clear and cleansed and washed out. Everything is washed away. And then now they are activated, they are spinning, they are balanced, they are in balance. And then closing, that can be a huge shift. You don't have to have such a deep, intuitive sense about it always. If you're just starting, it will come with time. But yes, having that container and checking in and then closing down. But when you're in that space, really using it to just, kickstart anything you want to check in on or feel on, and trusting whatever comes up, because you will start to feel little ways or notice little things or get little messages here and there from it. And so, kind of on the same thought, and it's funny, my next question is, how does the state of our thoughts or the actions we do or don't take affect the energy quality we have within ourselves?
So going back to your words, that is so powerful. And I forget to mention that because I feel that you are very verbally intuitive. And I don't have that as much. I am not as verbal. So when you say like your words, that is so powerful and something that we need to, in the practice, can use their words. It's not always visual or a feeling, which then turns into your question. Yeah, but I think it's back to the words. Like if you are, say, you're just very frustrated at your significant other and you're, speaking harshly or saying harsh words or loudly, that impacts your energy, right? That can bring a negative overall feeling to your energy, as well as you're giving that energy to somebody else. Your thoughts, sometimes those, I think one of the thoughts, like the shame, like, oh, I should have done this or I could have done that, those shame thoughts really can bring down your energy. And when I say energy bringing it down, it's not just the being the slow, it brings down the vibration, but it also impacts the color and the ability to keep it moving. Have you sometimes, like when you're sick and you're just laying in bed and you just can't move, that energy can be the same type of energy when you have negative thoughts or you're giving negative feedback to other people. So once again, those thoughts and those words are very powerful. And just having that mantra of, I am joyful, I am, having those positive reinforcing thoughts can bring up your energy and align yourself as well.
That was super helpful. And yes, and in hearing that, that's so fascinating. I've never really gotten the color that you see color as the energy too, and that you can see that shift. Is there any more you could speak on with that, or that would be helpful to know?
Well, so what I think is really interesting in my practice, if I visualize a black rose, for example, I can feel that energy around me and the vibration, how low it is. But if I visualize a bright pink rose in front of me and I visualize that color around me, my vibration will elevate, as well as my mood and everything else, even in my house. Like I can elevate the frequency in my house as well.
Wow. As you said that, yes, I felt the black rose and it was kind of heavy on my chest and kind of restricted. And then you said pink and it was like, no, now I'm open. Now I'm airy and out here. And so I think you're pointing on there's so much that can be affecting us. So colors, I think colors, I've always gotten this hit, read the rainbow, as in read the colors around you and sense what it is bringing or taking from you, and be really aware the ones you avoid, the ones you want to bring in, and finding a balance with it though, because sometimes when we avoid it, we actually need it and vice versa. So checking in with that, but that was such a good, if everyone can just, yeah, sense in a black rose, what does that feel like in their body? Imagining a black rose around you in black, and then versus a pink rose. And what does that bring towards you? And maybe you have the opposite effect for whatever reason. Again, we are so unique, but there really is such an impact. So that was such a great, I think, visual of the way our thoughts, like we're thinking about this rose. We didn't make a rose come into our sphere or anything. We were just having that thought and that physical sense, energetic sense reaction that came forward. And to take it further into my second piece of that question, like the actions we do or don't take, I can start on this if helpful. And I bring this up because this is where I think we can get very stagnant in our energy. We can get really lost within ourselves. We can maybe struggle or expense too much energy, if we're doing too much, but maybe it's not in the right way, or vice versa, too, again. I think it's just really important to be aware mentally, but also intuitively, and just knowing energy. We all have energetic systems. I would segue this to human design. I just don't know enough about it, but look into human design. That's a really great way to show like there's 4 or 5 energy types. And again, plays into some of us just have a lot more energy to expense than others, and some need to like build it internally. So knowing what your energetic imprint, your energetic code really is for you, and not to say you have to go look for a system. You can kind of, I think, know at this point what you need. But I think when it comes to like timelines and our energetic self and what we're creating in this life and within our body, our actions, just as much as our words, play into this. Do you have more you want to share too along this thread?
And I love that. And along with that, once again, it's really pulling to like really share right now, and especially with the holidays, the people that you're around and the situations you're in, and taking note of how you feel around people. Like, I am drained, I am tired, my brain doesn't work. Okay, but who are you around? What energy is around you that could be impacting that? It might not just be that you're overworked or you're stressed. It could be that there's people around you creating that energy source also, and you're just picking up on it.
Yes. And so let's dive into that, what you just brought up a little bit more of it. Kind of segues perfectly of like, why should we pay attention to the land, to the people, to the places, the animals, the things? I mean, I think we covered this somewhat, like it's all affecting us. But let's go even deeper, I'd say. And it makes me think of how I've been feeling like we've been getting a lot of spirits or things coming into our house here. And energetically, I've been having to clear, and they hide from me. They're really good about it. But I was like, where is this coming from? And you picked up on it, like, it's my husband. He's just not really aware. He just like drives, and all these beings are like, cool, I'm going to piggyback on you and come to your house and hang out. And he's going to feel it. And then we're all going to feel it. So that's a really poignant example, but that's what I really want to get to, of this deeper connection that we all have to our land. Is not ours, right? We might have purchased this lot and be here, and we might drive the roads that we drive, but there has been so much that has come before us, been here, died, decayed, come back to life, with animals, plants, beings, everything, energy. And then again, our homes, like people built this or lived in them. There's people come in, come out. There's this constant thing. So if most people, I think, we're just living our lives, and you just walk in a house and it's a house. But for me, as someone who's so intensely sensitive, it finally connected when I started to link energetics with all of these things. And so I want to go there, of what are the possibilities of connections, of what should we be aware of for the land and our homes. And then we can maybe go into animals and or some spirits of sorts. But again, noting like we need to clear these things. We need to connect to them, clear them, reset them, understand them. There's a lot more at play than what just we think is happening in our very little existence, in a way.
Right. And so it's interesting. So if you figure like your house was built brand new, you think it's clear, it's cleansed, right? But just think about all those people that built the house, all those workers, all that energy that they brought to the land just to build that house. Every piece of wood, every piece of glass, everything in your house was touched by somebody, and that's their energy imprinted on there also. So if you have an older house, just think of all that energy. And then if you have 100-year-old house, think of all the energy that all those people brought in. Also, I'm seeing our ancestors, or something has been passed down. I saw a gravy boat at my in-laws' house, and I could just feel the energy coming off of that, of so many holidays and so many different energies within that. And so that also plays a part in our everyday life. When you go to touch that, you're getting that energy also from all of those people. Or in the land, and the land is so important because, like you said, we don't know exactly what could have happened on that land. Wars, battles, deaths, and just, cemeteries. We don't know back in the day where people were buried or happened to have died as they came across, especially in Colorado, people dying on the trails. So it's just very interesting. We don't know, but it's still there. That energy is still, even though they have passed on and, disintegrated, that energy still remains in the land, on the wood, in the everything that we do.
That makes sense. And I'll give a very specific what came up to me and what really keyed me into like the pieces. So like thrifting and doing all that is great, but clear it. Just
Yeah.
again, you can state it. This thing is cleared. So go to the elements. Makes me think of the elements like air, fire, earth, what am I, water, like any of those, ether. And I think ether is kind of our more intuitive sense is how I'm going to look at it more, our spiritual connective sense, which is what you and I often go to, but you can smoke it like Palo Santo or sage or incense, whatever, or literally just wood in a fire, like smoke it out. And water, you can call upon the water. You can wash it. If it's something that can be washed, you can wipe it down. Like that will clear it. Put it in the sun. You could bury it if that makes sense. Like put some earth energy into it, put it next to a candle, like if that makes sense, or just call upon the candle. It doesn't have to be so specific, but it's helping to clear and recenter that. So it removes back to what I was thinking of. It brought me back to, we were staying with my in-laws for a little bit while we were waiting for a house to be built. And I had to go into my father-in-law's room, and I'd never been in there. There was something like a kid brought something and I had to go in, and I opened the door. I walked 2 steps in and I literally was like kicked in the chest of this heavy energy. This like the room almost started spinning, and I looked around and he had about 15 clocks. So he just collected these ancient clocks, Japanese, like all these different kinds. And I freaked. There was this energy and it came into my body, and I left the room and like had to just like breathe. Like it was panic attack like, and I did nothing. I mean, I just literally opened the door and took a couple steps, and it was like, boom, what just happened? And when I calmed down and was able to go in, I felt a man that was connected to one of these clocks was like gatekeeping his room, but was like creating this really heavy, really dense energy. He was not a happy human. He was very mad. And my father-in-law is kind of that type of energy, unfortunately. But so it kind of was like, whoa, they're fueling each other. It's this feeling. And so I had a conversation and I ended up clearing him because I could just feel like he was going to take over this whole house too, and asked him to leave and helped him depart and cleared that room. So it wasn't my stuff to clear. And yet I asked and it felt right. And so I did do a clearing on it. And then I never had that experience again. But there were things like that. So that was a very like visceral, big experience. But you can also have very small things that just will eat at you, that maybe you don't even realize you brought a new mirror or something into your house and you didn't clear it, you didn't even bless it. I think almost also hand in hand with clearing would be blessing or praying or bringing in prayer in a higher vibrational sense. Affirmations, I think, can do that clearing on its own in a way, but sometimes things are linked on such a deeper level or ancestrally that it takes a little bit more work. So paying attention to these, because you are being affected by it, whether or not you realize it. I could have just left and been like, oh, that felt crazy. I'm having a panic attack. I don't feel good. I'm depressed. And all these scary negative energies like just are feeling me, and gone about my day and just had to hold that. But I stopped and said, no, wait, that wasn't even mine. There's something more here. So I think the other piece that I'm like, I want to go 3 different places with this because this is such a can of worms. What also came up, Angela, too, was relationships. So when we, especially being intimate with someone, we hold other people's energy, like cellularly, energetically within our bodies. And so most humans will have more than one partners or relationships. And so being aware of any cords that are still connected to you. And that's something that's a term used in this spiritual community. Like you're connected via energetic cords is how a lot of people see it or how it comes through. And I like that because it's a very, again, a visual. You can, I am cutting this cord or I'm taking this paper and I'm cutting this paper and this represents it and I'm burning it in the fire. There's a lot of practices you can do with that, but being aware of just shaking a hand, touching something, bringing something in. Like it is so deep. And this is something I think we could talk about for hours on. So help me, I think, wrap up what we really want to share and help others understand or empower them to be able to go into their days and just do a quick check in and quick clear and quick recentering.
So I think that, and I loved your story about your father-in-law. I did want to bring up, I had the same situation happen. I was down in old Colorado City, and it was just one of those cute stores that had gifts and antiques. And I walked in and the same way, I was like, oh my God. And it was that panicky feeling. I walked right out, but I didn't do anything about it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and I went on, and I kept thinking, God, I don't feel right. But it's just in that moment, once again, I was in my mind, not in my body, and thinking, like, why didn't I? So all of us do it. It's so easy to ignore it, right?
Mhm.
And move on. So, as you said, like, bringing it back to your question, like, we're all on Zoom now and we're all, we still get other people's energy, even though we are not physically touching. I think that that's important. And I like the words, I'm cleansing myself today of anybody else's energy. I'm cleaning my energy. It's going to be for the greatest good of myself. Once again, those words are really impactful. It doesn't have to be a 20-minute meditation or an hour yoga practice. Your words are so important to be able to and powerful to clean and cleanse your energy and your environment and even your computer, just that energy that's taking place between two people is very intense, and just cleaning that space as well.
Oh, yes, that makes so much sense. And I really want to talk about animals and their energy, like familiars and how they can help. But let's save that for the third part, because I think we're going to go deeper into protecting our energy and what things can help us there. But I think that sums up. I think that's a great start of check in with yourself, use your words, use your intuition. And I think that might be one of my next ones is just how does our intuition tie into this energetic nature? How does these knowings and this gut sense tie into our energy? What's that connection there?
Perfect. That sounds great.
Okay. So I think some of this we'll save for the next episode. I know we could keep going on and on about energy clearing and all the different ways. There's so much more. Again, you guys, we were just skimming the surface of what is really out here in all the different ways. And so we will definitely keep talking. But do you have any more, Angela, around the land or the homes or just what we should pay attention to?
Yeah, so I'm getting a very intense channel right now about, and my body is so lit up that I feel like I really need to talk about the land as it is. You figure, okay, so our land, there's been deaths, cattle, humans, those type of things in the land, and then we're building, and we're actually building on that land, but also we're farming on that land. And so once we put that seed in the ground, it's got that energy also of what has been in that land before. And I just feel that we really need to take heed in knowing, where our food's from, or cleansing that food before we bring it into our house and into our bodies by cleansing it with the water and just once again the words. So it's very impactful to our energetic system of our food and its energy as well. So just keeping that in mind also when you pick up something, and how does it feel, and does the color look right to you, and think about that energy of the food before putting it into your body and consuming that.
I think there's so much there too. Yes. And what it made me think about is sometimes food when we know it's not good for us. So let alone, yes, there's this whole process that the seed has been planted in these big monocrops, unfortunately, often, unless you're growing your own food. And even if you're growing your own food, there could still be poisons from your neighbors or different things that are in that land or ancestral that have just been there. Like you said, like things have died and decayed and are just there. And so having a practice to one, just I think prayer, like you said, and having that those words and that intention. And even when you're eating something that you're like, I know this isn't great for me, but it sounds really good, or maybe it doesn't feel like there's much life force, but you're going to eat it. I've tried to do this. Thank you for nourishing me. Thank you for, I don't even think about how I know it's a sugar or a carb and it's going to, make my body go wrong. I'm trying to really do the perspective of, you are food. Someone took time. Like some people don't even have this food. So intending that this is going to fuel my body, support my body. I give love to it. And you can look, there's a lot of research about intention into water, intention into food, and all these different scientific studies that is looking at this. And then, so knowing that it goes such a long way, and that if you can bring in, even if you can't filter your water and do all the like beautiful things that you want to do to live the most high vibe life or most healthy life that you're feeling, that when you do need to drink bottled water or other water, take a moment, and no matter what water you drink, to set that connection point, clear it, cleanse it, thank it, pray for it, and knowing that that is going to come into your body in a completely different way than if you didn't do anything. And it really will have incremental shifts in your body as well. So
Oh, that is great. That practice of clearing that. I love that. And I'm looking at my water right now thinking, and I can feel the energy even right now
mhm.
of that water, and thinking how it's going to really cleanse me as well.
Yeah, and nourish, like that nourish. And someone sent me this video. And again, it's this perspective. I'll think a lot of with energy, it's perspective. It starts sometimes in our mind, but us being such mental humans and how much our mind and words attract things, it's been this just little mind shift of what if I flourish today? What if the best things for me happen today? What if the best outcomes are going to come forward, and not instead of going, well, what's the harm, or, no worries. Like, it's like you just said you're worrying in a way, like, even though you're saying no, like you are putting more intention behind that more negative or other side of the coin. And so starting just again, even just one time a day, like what if my relationship flourishes? What if
Yes.
my business flourishes? What if this I hit this whatever, however you want to phrase that, and really calling it in and energetically, emotionally honoring and feeling that. Like that is so big, and our water is so huge. So I think if nothing else, if you don't want to look at your house or your land, like start with your water and your food and the things you're consuming. Notice how that's feeling in your body, and then start to bring your awareness to like your bedroom. Like you're in there every night.
Yes.
How is this feeling? Do some things want to be removed out? So it's this dance between like the internal and the external, this constant kind of fluctuation, this input and output. But it's just reminding yourselves of, you are in the power, you are in the control seat. Yes, this is happening to you, but you're listening here and you're realizing, oh, no, you're so much more in control than you realize of your day, of your feelings. Yes, you'll get sick. Someone else, something could happen. Things happen, but yet you always have the power to shift. And
Yeah.
yes, there's a place and a time to feel your feelings and move through the things. But then I think always come back to your center, come back to this moment.
Yeah, no, I think that that's a good segue into it. But I really like how we do our practices all the time. We're very in tune, but we get caught up in our own days as well. And just a reminder, coming back to the positive side of the coin instead of the negative, is so important. And I need reminders. I need you to remind me, like, yes, think it that way. So it don't get caught up on the I'm not doing it. I should have done it, but more of like, just like you said, right now I'm starting my day, and what if it's the best day ever? And
Mhm.
I really like that thought process.
Ooh, I love that. What if every day is our best day ever? Like, what if we just have that mindset that everything is going to unfold beautifully for us? That
Yeah.
I can't control what's going to come, but I trust that it is going to be what I need in this moment to help support. And it's not all love and light, right? I'm never going to be here to share that life is so chaotic and so not that. But guess what? We are working towards building stronger bodies, building stronger energy systems, building stronger mentalities and humans and strength within ourselves so we can weather these storms a little bit better and have support and understand all this myriad of things that are happening around us that none of us were really taught. I think that's what it really sparks my curiosity and the want to share all of this is because it was so not something in my life for the majority of it. And the majority of that life was not great. And it was hard and it was not fun and it felt awful. And I really struggled and I did not understand. And not to say that this is like the end all be all. This is one key of many keys of life. I think that we are here to learn and to understand and to integrate into ourselves. And not everyone is going to. That's not your role and that's okay. But if you found this and you're listening and you pick this up and you're going, "Oh, this is interesting," then that you are someone who is here to help yourself through this energetic system and mindset and better yourself because that's why we're here too.
Yes. And then just one quick note, did you feel not in control in those in your past years that you were just explaining?
Yes. And I'd say that's what I was rebelling so hard against. I was trying to do everything to grasp control when in everything I did, but it never got better. It never seemed to get better or the things it wouldn't connect. I want to say I just was feeling so much of my own stuff, of others people's, and I was in this negative looping. I would just cycle. Like I would try to break out of this mold and then just fall back and get stuck and get stuck and get stuck. And it was really getting clear and removing some really negative habits, really negative people, and then starting just my yoga practice was one of the biggest shifts of my life. I had come from a background of sports and you move your body and your body is powerful and like I like that. Like I can get competitive, I can go into that channel, but I was harming myself almost in a way. But so when I found yoga, it was like this reinvigoration of strength within myself, but also this quietness that I don't think I ever could achieve. I couldn't stop the mental chatter. So it helped me reset and then go, wait, that's not all mine. I can release that. I can move through that. And your body, it's so fascinating. It knows what you need. I love how you get the little bubbles of oh, I don't feel good or something's coming up and like, what's this feeling? And you look at it and you work through it and then you move on and it usually doesn't come up again or it'll come up in another little bubble. But it's such a dance of life that we're not here to fix it all in this moment. Everything we just went through is not going to completely alter your life in this moment just because you start to connect and cleanse, but it's incremental. It opens space to start to allow other emotions, other trapped things to move out from the body and you to get more clear. I'd say I found a lot more clarity within my mind, within my intuition as I slowed down, as I connected, as I became more thoughtful and mindful in my days. Those were the shifts. And so I feel in control because I feel in control of my body. I feel I know how to connect, disconnect, whatever, clear, cleanse, activate, everything we just went through. So I'd say it's a long game. This is a long but short life. And these are some of those, again, I just hear the word keys. We all get this rung of keys. We're trying to collect all these keys for this life. And it's like, this feels so important for at least my life. And I know your life as well.
Yeah. I love the keys.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So thank you, Angela, for all your wisdom, for channeling through all that information and just being here to riff back and forth and connect on all these things as we still learning, right? We are learners. We're constantly educating ourselves and we're here to just share our experiences and what is helping us in hopes that maybe something will spark a key for you and in a next path to help you live your best, most wild, loving, full, authentic life. So I'd love to end us with having you lead us through a short practice of activating our chakras and clearing our energetic field so others can take it and work it into their days or just have a sense of what this can feel and really look like.
Yes. So, well, I'm going to play on the keys because that really came in for
Good.
this practice that we're going to do. And what I want to remind everyone, you don't have to spend a ton of time. We all have busy lives, kids, significant others, jobs, all that stuff. And I know when I jump out of bed, I'm running to do the next thing and I got my to-do list. So I really want this to be something that you can do while you're doing your hair or brushing your teeth. It is something that you don't have to take a lot of time. Once again, with the cleansing, I think that I really like the faucet. Like you feel or a waterfall of just that taking a moment, taking a couple deep breaths and visualizing that rain or that faucet or the waterfall just flowing over you, washing away everything that doesn't belong to you or for your greater good. And picture that going out about 3 feet on each side of you, in front of you, behind you, and just flowing into the earth and dissipating. It's taking it, it's doing no harm to the earth or to the energy below you. So, in visualizing once again, take a couple deep breaths. As you exhale, you picture that water flowing over you, whatever feels good. It's going into the earth. Take another deep breath, and you can open your eyes to start your day. When you have a moment, I would suggest taking some time to activate your chakras. When you do have a little bit of time, I would suggest, getting a picture of the chakras, or if you have a book, or some of you may know the chakras, take that key that Olivia had mentioned and stick it into the first chakra. Like right now, I'm picturing my key going into my first chakra, opening it up, looking at it. It's a blue color, and I'm envisioning it moving. So, once again, taking the key because I'm very visual. But if you are more of a verbal person or just starting out, I am now opening my first chakra. I am envisioning it, show me what I need to know, and have it tell you, show you, visualize what is going on, clearing it. And you can say, once again, I'm clearing my first chakra, and you close it and taking the key out. When you spend that time, I would say spend at least, 10 to 15 minutes on each chakra just so that you could really tone into what's going on and what it looks like and the energy around that. And I definitely recommend journaling it also because when you're in that space, a lot of times things are coming and you don't know what they mean and you start analyzing. Whereas if you just let it flow and write it down and come back and analyze it later.
Thank you for sharing that. That was a really good one, just first cleansing and seeing the water flow down. It was so quick and so easy, and I can feel the difference though. And then I love the idea of keys of opening and unlocking and relocking your energy centers because again, it's that initiation and then that like you go through it and then you close it. And so again, having that holistic cycle. But when you're driving in your car, when you're sipping your coffee or stop scrolling on your phone, just take a moment to just be with yourself. And I hope that Angela's practice will make sense and come into play, because I think it is a really easy and grounding way to start to work with your energy without having to know much more from there. So thank you, Angela, for your time for this part 2. I'm excited that we have at least one more part to dive into, and we will be moving more into protection, but also more of the realms of all the different beings that we might interact with through our energy. I'd say, again, more that spiritual lens, this energetics of how it's going to affect us, and sharing more of our stories probably around and experiences that we've had with interactions with other things, and why you need to protect yourself, because that will show you, why does this even matter? So as much as understanding what energy was, which was our part 1, and then cleansing, clearing, activating, and working with your energy was part 2. Now let's move into that protection and the understanding of why that makes sense. And clearing and doing everything we're doing is protecting you. I will want to say that, but there is even a deeper level that we can go. So thank you again for your time. And thank you to all you listeners for showing up, for wanting to learn about your energy, and reach out if you have any questions, if you have a story you want to share. We would love to hear from you. So until next time, Angela, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Live Wildly podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. It goes a long way to helping gain new listeners, and fills my heart to see your reviews every time it comes through. It just keeps me inspired and going on this journey. And if you'd like to learn more or follow Olivia further, you can check me out at www.olivia-ashley.com. And just, there's a lot there that you can check out, and you can learn more about the podcast episodes. You can also follow along on Instagram at Wildly Olivia or at Live Wildly Podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you listeners, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks again.